You see smart home tech everywhere these days, right? From smart dimmers to fancy thermostats. But installing them is about a whole lot more than just connecting a few wires. Today, we're going to break down the real professional code requirements for these devices to make sure your smart home is also a safe home.
So what's the big difference, really? What does a pro know that maybe the weekend warrior doesn't? Well, it's not just about being faster or making it look neater. It's all about safety. It's about reliability, and it's about following the electrician's #1 rulebook, the National Electrical Code, or NEC. This is what separates a simple installation from a professional one.
Okay, so how do we actually do this the right way? Let's follow the whole journey, from the moment you take the device out of the box to when it's live on the wall. We're going to break it down into 3 key phases, and for each step, we'll use the NEC as our guide.
All right, first things first. We have to start right where every job begins, with the device itself. Before you can install it, you have to understand its power. And that brings us to the first really critical piece of the code you need to know, NEC Article 725. Think of this section of the code as the foundation for everything else. It's what classifies all these different low-voltage systems to make sure the right safety rules are being followed. Now, this isn't just some boring theory. It is the absolute first step for doing any smart switch installation correctly.
Okay, now take a look at this table. It's super important. You'll see the differences in voltage and power sources. And here's the key. Most of the smart devices you're going to run into, things like dimmers, video doorbells, thermostats, they almost always fall into Class 2. Getting this one classification right from the get-go is the most important first move you can make.
So here's the absolute key takeaway from all this. Your job as a pro begins before you even touch a single wire. You have to identify that circuit class first. Why? Because that one little piece of information dictates all the rules for everything that comes next. What kind of wire you can use, how you can run it, everything.
Okay, so we've got the device's power class figured out. What's next? Well, the next logical step is getting that power to the device. But, and this is a big but, you can't just run those wires wherever you want. We need to talk about the rules of separation.
Now, this is a huge one. It's a challenge pros run into literally every day. You've got your low-voltage smart home wire, and right next to it, you've got your standard 120-volt power lines. The classic DIY mistake is just to fish them all through the same hole in the wall. But the NEC, specifically in Articles 820 and 830, has some very clear rules about why that is a seriously dangerous idea.
And the great thing is, the code gives us 2 clear, compliant ways to handle this. On one hand, you can install an actual physical barrier, like a little divider right inside the junction box. Or, on the other hand, you just have to keep a specific minimum distance between the different kinds of wires. Both of them work, both are perfectly legal. Which one you use just depends on the situation.
So you might be asking, why all the fuss? Why does this separation matter so much? Well, for one, if you don't separate them, you get something called electrical noise, which can make your brand new smart device act all glitchy or just fail completely. But way more important than that, a 120-volt line can actually induce a current in that low-voltage wire, causing it to overheat. And that, my friends, is how you start a fire inside your walls. This rule isn't just a suggestion. It protects the system, and it protects the house.
Okay, we're getting close. Our switch is classified correctly, the wiring is safely separated, but we're not done yet. The job isn't truly finished until it's properly supported. This is a big deal, especially in places you see all the time, like in a commercial building or a finished basement that has a suspended ceiling.
This rule, man, this might be one of the most ignored rules in the entire codebook, but it is so important. You cannot just rest a junction box on a flimsy ceiling tile. You can't just clip a device to that metal grid. That grid is just hanging there. It's not part of the building's structure. It's like trying to hang a heavy painting on a thumbtack. It's not a question of if it's going to fail, but when.
So, how do you do it right? Well, the main idea is simple. Your electrical box and the device inside it have to be supported by the actual real structure of the building. That means running your own dedicated support wires up to the joists, using special clips and fasteners that are listed for that purpose, or attaching it directly to the wall framing.
Phew, we have covered a ton of ground, haven't we? We've gone from power classification to wiring separation to physical support. So let's just boil it all down into a super simple 3-point checklist you can use on your next smart home project.
It really just comes down to this. Remember these 3 words: classify, separate, support. First, you classify the power circuit. Then, you separate your low-voltage wiring from the high-voltage lines. And finally, you support your box from the actual building structure. You do those 3 things, and that's your ticket to a safe, reliable, professional installation that's going to pass inspection every single time.
And that's what it's all about, isn't it? Every single smart device, no matter how simple it looks, has this whole professional code built around it to make sure it works safely and reliably for years to come. When you understand these rules, you're not just plugging in a cool gadget, you're engineering a real solution, one that's truly built to last.